Blake Neely composed the score for The Flight Attendant. I'm Riley Chow, here to ask you, what was the pitch to you for the sound of the score?
Well, I had a meeting with all of the producers, and we were talking about tone and ideas. And they said, "What are you thinking?" And I said, "Well, I'd read the script, and I said, well, I see Cassie as this broken child, and I'm thinking of playing with like kids' toy instruments and little toy pianos and stuff like that." And I remember Steve Yockey said, "Lots of percussion," and I said, "How about we do only percussion?" And so that's how we landed on just percussion.
I understand that he wanted kind of a Bernard Herrmann influence score to kind of evoke Hitchcock.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, there's definitely Hitchcock references throughout Flight Attendant. As a composer, when someone says, "Can you be sort of like Bernard Herrmann?" Your first instinct is to say, "I'm going to leave now." It's what a master. But I think just knowing that that's sort of the vibe. Um, Herman did some things where he used crazy orchestration and just sort of boxed himself in, like, I'll do all woodwinds for this. And my sort of tip of the hat to him in that case is I'll do all percussion. But definitely gave us the sort of tone of a little bit throwback, but just sort of wacky.
Can you expand on that? You wanting to leave? Is that because it's too much of a
It's
challenge, or is
intimidating.
it
It's
intimidating?
intimidating.
Okay.
That's like saying do John Williams. It's like these are masters who have studied all my life, all my career, and to do something like that. So I didn't actually do Bernard Herrmann, but it was influential in tone.
Can you tell me about the theme music, the from the main title sequence?
Yeah, so that's actually the first piece I wrote after the meeting and getting hired, and with this sort of new sandbox to play in. I came back and started writing this piece just full of energy and ideas and themes, and I sent it to the producers, and they were like, "We love it." And I thought, it's a start. And then the main title graphics started coming in, and they used this music, so it just started becoming the main title theme.
How is it working with Greg Berlanti since you worked with him on so many different shows?
Oh my God, Greg and I go back 19 years this year, to his first show and my first show, Everwood, and we're just super tight brothers, really great friends, and the way we've gotten to work over the years is basically he can throw out an adjective and I'll know what he's talking about, or a nod and a wink, and off we go, and I'll play him ideas and he'll respond, and then um, run with it. It's a great collaboration that I'm just lucky to have. Who
And
knew
when,
who knew he'd be the single most prolific producer in television history, when we started.
yeah, no, it's insane. And he's been nominated for one Emmy. Hopefully, he'll get his second one this year. What about when you're working on all these different shows? How do you kind of keep them separate?
So the way I keep the sound of the shows separate is I develop templates, and also like on Flight Attendant, I develop rules for myself. Like, you're only writing in this style on this show, or maybe this show doesn't have woodwinds, maybe this show only has brass. Those kinds of things. The themes help. Once you've established a theme for a character, it helps to get in that mindset by playing the theme and getting back into it. But I've had days where I wrote the wrong music for the wrong show, and it's a good waste of 6 or 7 hours. But hopefully quickly course correct. But I do love doing the multiple shows because it's to compose music. It's all about feeling, and so if I'm not feeling into a thriller today, I can switch to something that's comedy or action or emotion. So it's really nice to have that, uh, to change it up all the time.
You talk about writing, music for the wrong show. Like, what would not fit in The Flight Attendant?
Strings. But actually, what I've done is I've been writing. This one time I was writing The Mentalist, and I'm working in the Mentalist palette, and it sounds like the Mentalist, but I just happened to be writing it with Arrow's theme in the Mentalist palette, which was a crazy little mashup. But just realized, okay, that sounds familiar. What is it? And you just kind of check yourself and go, oh God, I've been writing the wrong theme all day. So that's fun.
And at what point are you coming in? Are you reading the scripts, kind of coming up with themes then, or is it more once you actually see the work on screen?
With Greg's shows, he usually gets me in very early. He and Sarah Schechter will we'll have a meeting, and they'll meet with the showrunners and the producers. And if I'm hired on the show, we'll start at script stage for the pilot. What I like to do is start writing while they're shooting the pilot with all of my impressions before I see the picture, and then after I've seen the picture, I can see if it's kind of fits what the idea was, and also gives them a good bin of music to start temping with. So that's really the stage I get involved in. But I've gotten involved on shows that had already been filmed, and you just kind of dive in.
I wonder about how the process has changed with the pandemic. I imagine that normally you're working more directly with maybe an orchestra to actually record it. Can you talk about how the process has changed in the last year?
Well, I miss playing with other musicians. I mean, that's I sit in this room all day long writing so that I can then go see my friends and we make music together. And that hasn't been the case. I've had a few of these Zoom recordings where people think because they're watching like these Zoom choirs online that, oh, you're just doing a giant Zoom and everyone's playing. But it doesn't work that way. Like I can't talk while you're talking. So it's working with a single musician, then another single musician, and it's just not how music should be made. It's a collaborative experience, and I miss that. But I think we're coming out of it. And thank goodness we had the technology to pull it off.
Yeah, is there a silver lining to working this way?
A silver line to working remotely.
Yeah.
If there's any silver lining, it's that I can continue to be in my studio and you don't have to like schedule these times of, hey, I need these 3 hours. And so it's kind of people's convenience. The musicians can record in their pajamas if they want, but they're outside of timing and time management, I can't see a plus to this.
Okay. You have received a nomination already for your work on The Flight Attendant. You were nominated at the Society of Composers and Lyricists Awards for score for a television program. You've been nominated for a few Emmys, going back to Evermore for its theme music. For The Flight Attendant, you submit a single episode for the Emmy ballot. Do you know which episode you submitted and why?
I submitted the main title and I submitted the pilot, the first episode, because I feel like, and I've heard a lot of people have seen the flight attendant. It was a big success, but if when I vote on Emmys and I get like the seventh episode, you've got to do your homework and watch 6 hours to catch up and see how it was. And it's such a wacky show that I just think the pilot is superb, and I just wanted to start with that. And then, these Emmy voters, if they like it, they'll watch the rest of them. But I think it gives them a really good idea of where we're going.
Yeah, the Emmys have changed a lot in the last couple of years in the music category specifically, the way that they're judged. I'm wondering if you have an opinion on how they used to kind of assign you episodes to watch, and then now it's kind of more just a broad, like you kind of vote for whatever you want.
Well, I'm not a fan of the new changes. I would do the judging, and we would each watch 10 hours of television in our category that we're judging, and that was assigned to the hundreds of people in the music branch. And now we're not even submitting episodes. Like I didn't upload an episode for people to watch. It's just go find it and watch it. So I'm not a huge fan of the process, but there are others governing that board. So hopefully in the future, I'm not sure what it was. It could be just the sheer content that they so much now and everything's sort of available. But I do hope it goes back to where we can actually say this was my work instead of go find it.
Yeah, I found the music nominations so interesting because they always, like everything seemed to be on a level playing field since everything actually was watched, and then I heard about how um, like kind of the instructions you got were very deliberate so that you would judge things a certain way.
Mhm.
For the flight attendant, the soundtrack actually is online. Is there a particular song that you feel is your best work?
No, I'm still partial on that show to the main title. It's fun. It was, it's like probably the first main title I've written that is all in like on the tonic and just driving, and it's I still think it's fun. But what I enjoyed about putting together that soundtrack is they didn't want just cues. They wanted 15 tracks. So each track became like a suite of various tracks, and it was fun to put those together and sort of linearly through the show. If you listen to the soundtrack, it's sort of linear to the show, it goes from the beginning to the end. But you get in that case, you get these longer 7 minute tracks, which as a listener I enjoy when I get other soundtracks and it's not just this 1 minute piece, but this sort of suite of ideas. So that's fun. And also I named all the tracks things that you would hear on a plane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I've interviewed other composers where it's just kind of impossible to find their work online unless it's in, little like 1 minute YouTube uploads just from fans.
Yeah, I mean, this year it's been incredible. My friends at Water Tower Music, by August, will have put out 18 albums in a year for me. So they're just putting them out, and since it's pretty easy to put stuff up digitally now.
I don't know if you go back and listen to kind of your old stuff. I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about how your kind of sound and style has changed over the years.
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, the self-effacing answer to that is I don't think it has changed. I'll hear old stuff and go like, oh God, I'm still doing that. But I think technology changes me. Um, finding new sounds, new ways to work, that changes. Um, the other thing I think has changed is I finally, honed in on what my voice is, and so I just kind of do that and change it up. But early on in my career, I was trying to emulate this composer or that composer, so I feel like it's changed in that way. But I try not to go back and listen to old stuff.
And who are those composers that you kind of looked up to?
Oh, all my heroes like Michael Kamen, James Newton Howard, Thomas Newman, um, Ennio Morricone, Hans Zimmer, the giants. Of course, John Williams,
Sure.
Bernard Herrmann, who we already talked about.
Are you working on the next season of You?
Yes, I am. I'm on episode 5 right now. And did you watch the first 2 seasons?
I have, yes, like many. Yeah.
Yeah, season 3 is bonkers. So it's going to be a great season. I'm not working yet on the second season of Flight Attendant because they haven't started shooting. But I'm looking forward to that too.
Okay. On your IMDb page, it says that you're also known as Blake Shook Neely. Uh, can you tell me about that?
So that's a I did this movie with Matthew McConaughey called Surfer Dude, and we all of us on the music team decided to credit ourselves with the surfer names, and so we just looked up terms that surfers used, and I chose Shook.
Okay.
Little did I know it would appear forever on my IMDb page.
Yeah. I also learned in researching that you wrote the Piano for Dummies book
I
that
did. That
you can't
was
find on. Yeah.
oh my, that was 24 years ago. 20 no longer than that. It was 1998. However long that is.
Yeah. What would you say was the most memorable experience of working on the flight attendant?
Well, one was the meeting that I had with all the producers. There were so many producers on it, and I was sitting on this couch in the middle of the room, and they're all looking at me, like an interrogation. Um, but I think the most fun experience I had on the flight attendant was since I limited myself to percussion, um, and I sort of have a little bit of ADD creatively. I would start finding things to bang on and hit, and so it's the first show that I've been working on where I actually am looking around my house thinking like the dishwasher, I could probably play that. That bicycle I could probably play and incorporate it into the score. So that was really fun. That's probably the most memorable.
Excellent. Okay, Blake. Well, thanks very much for taking the time to chat with Gold Derby today.
Thanks, Riley.